My name is Peter Davison. I played the Fifth Doctor, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 223 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And hey, Alara, could you open this jar of pickles for me? Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week. We'll go on the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, my.
Spring is
in the air.
Spring is in the air. It's Monday. And it's been quite a week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some interesting things to talk about with the news. So,
Yeah.
Quite.
so let's jump into the news. So,
Yes,
starting
and-
off with some convention announcements at Chrissy's
Yes.
neck of the woods.
Yes, indeed. FanX, which is less than a month away. Holy cow! Hope you got your tickets, everyone who's going. I do. Anyway, they've made some pretty interesting. I don't want to say big because I don't know. I think they're interesting and big and awesome. But they made some interesting guest announcements. First one is from the Power Rangers franchise, the OG Red Ranger himself, Austin St. John, better known as Jason, the leader of the the Red Ranger, leader of the Power Rangers back in the day. And honestly, thinking back on it, I think of the original Power Rangers who are still with us. Obviously, the actress who played the Yellow Ranger passed away many years ago. I think he's the only one who hasn't been to Salt Lake. So everyone else has been, and plus some of the others who came later too. So I'm like, sweet. I don't know if there are going to be any other announcements in that direction, but I'm kind of hoping. And then also Pearl Mackie from Doctor Who, otherwise known as Bill. The 12th Doctor's last companion on TV. She's coming. So that was they teased that one, and there was a picture of it was the 12th Doctor with several companions from his area. It's like, and it was like, one of these is coming, and I'm like, Peter Capaldi, but I'll take Pearl Mackie too. If she wants to bring Peter along, I'll be happy. Yeah. But yeah, that one.
Peter Capaldi, I would find some way to get to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City. Between Peter Capaldi and Clark Gregg, I'd be still like, okay, well, there goes mine.
Yeah, I think we all would.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, you know that goal we have of meeting this year? Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
April 19th and 20th. So yeah, so I'm excited. We'll see how the crowds are and how Alex is, and and also how the funds are for getting autographs. But I would be very interested in meeting one or both of them, plus a bunch of other people who have already been announced as coming. So yay!
And I think with Austin St. John, I'd have to look, but he came for Indiana Comic Con a couple of years ago. I didn't meet him, but I think he offers free autographs, I think, to military. So if any of our listeners are military or know anybody who's military and is going and wants to meet the Red Ranger, I think. I don't know if that's something he still does. I would just assume so.
I'll have to look that up. I wonder if it might be in one of the Comic-Con groups. I'm sure they may be mentioned, but either way, that is good to know.
Yeah. So
anyway, yeah, more exciting stuff from Salt Lake FanX. So we're getting excited as we usually do. Yeah, we go regardless. Unless there's something else going on, like me having a baby. but no, yeah, we go regardless of the guests. But it's always fun to see who the guests are and who we're going to get excited about and how to prioritize our autograph getting. Because as much as I'd love to get I have a list of everyone I'd like to get. Can't afford it, but I can at least try to make their panels. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
Should be fun.
yes, indeed. And then in further news, we got a trailer for season 3 of Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of made me a little sad because the way they're talking, I'm like, oh, you guys are like growing up and getting to be like really like too cool for everything. And I'm like, I hope this isn't hinting that they're ending the show or getting close to it, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, as much as I was like enjoying watching it and the whole idea behind it and like it's the summertime and Dustin's coming back from camp and he thinks everyone's forgotten him, but they have a surprise. They have 11 controlling all the little his electronic robots, and then they jump out and surprise him and they sprays.
And then he gets a face full of hairspray. Oh.
I'm like, well, as potent as that stuff is, I guess it'd be a good weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then too, if you add, a lighter to it with the high alcohol content.
Good thing you didn't have a lighter.
Yeah, really. I love
really short trailer.
Yeah, I love I think my favorite part of the trailer though, because it looks like Dad Steve has gotten a job at the mall, and like Dustin's visiting him, and his coworker at the ice cream shop or over there working. He's just like, you hang out with a lot of kids.
Yeah, well,
but we love Steve, and
we love Dad Steve.
Dad Steve being the protective big brother and whatever else he does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it all goes.
Yep. 4th of July.
Yep. So after you're done with barbecuing and fireworks and all that stuff, you can go fire up Netflix and watch Stranger Things.
Yeah. Yep. So.
Well, first it was Christmas, then Halloween, now 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And in other TV news, as shows are coming back, we have another that is now coming to an end.
Yes.
So after
some people may be saying it's about time. Some people are like, already?
Yeah,
depending
really.
on your point of view.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
After what will be 15 seasons.
Yes.
The Winchester brothers are going to be parking baby permanently and going on their merry way. So Supernatural will be ending after season 15.
Mm-hmm.
So is it this current season that they're ending, or they get one more?
They get one more season. They're currently in season 14.
Okay.
And there's some of the fan base that thought it was the CW that was the one that told them, hey, we're ending. It was Jared, Jensen, and Misha who had made the decision that, hey, we want to end.
Yeah.
And 15 seasons is a long run. They got small kids.
Yeah.
I mean, like I told one group that I'm a part of, hey, if Audible or Big Finish isn't smart enough, they can nab these guys. I mean, we could do a spin-off audio event. They could do spin-off audio adventures real easy. Just roll out of bed.
Yep.
Put a little time in recording studio then, because I know they've got a brewing company that they're doing down in Texas too. So I mean, they can still, who's not to say there's something in the works, but hey, then they don't have to worry about special effects or injuries.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's just it's easier on them. I know the last few seasons they've adjusted things so that the guys can, because they have kids and families and stuff. So it's and the kids aren't getting any younger; they're going to get older, and they're getting older, and so
yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that it's lasted as long as it has, because I mean, I like tried watching one episode, decided, this isn't for me, but people who love it, that's fine, that's great. I'm just like, how did you guys manage to find 15 seasons worth of stuff to write about, of stories to tell, and all that stuff? And I'm like, I mean, TV shows just they don't. I mean, 15 seasons is nothing to sneeze at, and good for them.
Yeah, it is the longest running sci-fi / genre series in the history of American broadcast television.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's
327 episodes by the time they reach the end of season 15.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment, and you know what? If people are upset they're ending, it's like, guys, you got 15 years worth of television.
Right,
Go watch some of it.
Because there's supposedly a petition going around to make the boys change their mind so that they can end in 2020. It's just like, guys, they want to end on a high note.
Yeah.
It's their decision. Let them be.
Yeah, especially where it's their decision, and we're like, and they're like, yeah, we want to move on and do other things with our lives. It's like, it's
they
fine.
can end it the way they want it to end.
Exactly. Same with Arrow. Arrow's ending on season 8. Stephen Amell made the decision a couple weeks ago. Same thing. And it's like, hey, 8 seasons. That's still, hey, this day and age,
pretty darn good.
That's darn good.
Yep. So, it's better for it to go out
on a high note.
This, like this, rather than we would think back to Once Upon a Time, and we're like, okay, guys, we're done, no more.
Yep.
You've run out of ideas.
Yeah. Yep. Season 7 had some of its good points, but if they would have left it at 6, that would have been.
We all would have been fine with that.
Fine. Yep.
Yes. Which, if you want to hear about our thoughts on that one, go back to episode. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah,
get on our website.
Once Upon a Time, and you'll find it too.
Yep.
Yes. The 5ishfangirls.com. Look through the tags. You'll find it.
Yep.
But anyway, so way to go, Supernatural guys. 15 seasons. Good job. I have a lot of friends who like this, and all my friends who I know watch the show, they were all kind of saying, yeah, 15 years, 15 seasons, that's a good way to go out. And you know what? I'm happy for them.
And at least they've got enough time where they can plan it to end it and wrap it up right. So if they want to bring back former cast members for cameos, it can hopefully, fingers crossed, be done.
Yeah, do a proper send off on some shows who are they're like, oh, you've only got there's only 4 weeks left. Oh, by the way, you're canceled. So wrap up everything and And they're like, how do we do that?
Oh, it's canceled after the season's over, and you're left with a pretty big cliffhanger. And you're like, what?
Oh yeah, no, that never happens in television.
WTF?
Yeah, that happened to Timeless. At least they did get the chance to come back and wrap up with
a 2-hour movie.
A 2-hour TV. So at least they got that much, but it's just kind of like, so guys, be glad that they got some notice.
Yeah. Got plenty of time to emotionally prepare yourself.
And I bet, I have an idea of how they can end it, and most of them are pretty emotional, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I'll get there eventually, but at least now I know that,
end is in sight.
There's not going to be more, as I'm trying to watch it, they're not creating more.
Yeah.
Same.
Yes, it's like Big Finish. We sit there and go like, oh my gosh, can you guys take a year off so we can get caught up?
Yeah.
They're like, no, we got to make more.
They're like the TARDIS and Doritos. That's all you want, we'll make more.
Just feels it. But anyway.
Yep. Congrats to Supernatural.
Yep.
It'll be a big send-off, I'm sure.
Yep.
Oh, I am certain. Anyway.
Yep.
I don't know what Tumblr's gonna do now. Probably just gripe at each other now. But
I haven't hit Tumblr in a little while, and I don't think I'm going to, because
yeah,
I can just imagine how Tumblr reacted after that news dropped.
Part of me was tempted just to go look, just to kind of, peek in and munch popcorn and watch them all melt down. But at the same time, I was like, I got better things to do with my time.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on in the news. This one produced some hilarious memes on Facebook.
Yes.
All on the variant of who is now a Disney princess.
Princess, yes.
Disney's purchase of Fox is now final.
Mm-hmm.
So Disney and 21st Century Fox made a deal. They are now 20th Century Fox and other assets are now part of the Walt Disney Company.
Yep.
And there's a press release with a bunch of stock
legal jargon,
legalese and stock abbreviations. So if you're interested in that, cool. But yeah, so basically, Disney owns Fox, so gear up for
buttload of money.
For a buttload of money, and so gear up for the inevitable MCU and X-Men crossover. And I really want that Deadpool post-credits scene on Avengers Endgame, where he's like, "The merger's complete. I can be part of the movie now." Like, sorry, the movie's over. What?
Yes.
And somebody had posted a mock-up of Deadpool's going to be in the next Spider-Man movie. Mm-hmm.
I doubt that, but could be a cameo. But
yeah, well, the whole Spider. I know, because in the comics, I guess like Spider-Man and Deadpool are like a team up that has happened more than once. So they're like friends. But the whole Spider, if we're going to see Deadpool, it's not going to be likely with Spider-Man, just because that Spider-Man is his own murky gray area, because he's still owned by Sony.
Still over by Sony.
Yeah.
Which I've seen that meme too, where it's like Mickey and he's got, Marvel and Star Wars and 20th Century Fox, and then he's looking over at Sony and like, soon.
Yeah.
or
not
Mickey
that means anything. It's just...
Or Mickey with the Thanos gauntlet.
Yeah.
With the...
Yeah. So welcome to the House of Mouse, to the X-Men and Deadpool and Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Kind of. I know people are still anxious. People are now hoping that maybe we'll get a Blu-ray releases of the original Star Wars trilogy without the Lucas editions. Mm-hmm. From the Lucas cut. So we'll see.
Well, we'll see with some of the other decisions they've made in that direction. I don't think the easiest and the most and the one that makes the most sense is actually going to occur to them.
I think somebody who knows more would have to tell us if we're right on this. But I think as far as the original Star Wars trilogy is concerned, there's something to do with the distribution rights that even with this, Disney technically still can't just take the original trilogy and be like, here you go, kids, Christmas came early.
Well, and I mean, and there's some other stuff in this deal. And again, the press release and legalese, peruse at your leisure. I use in quotations. But there's some other, there's some other details that I guess they still have to hammer out, or like not everything. They don't have everything, but they do, and I don't know. And I'm like, you know what, guys, just whatever movies you're making, let me know, and I'll maybe come see them.
Yeah,
if I feel so inclined.
Like a good chunk of the Fox acquisition, I really don't care. Just let me know when the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are getting MCU movies, and I will go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Fantastic Four is one I'm curious to see how how Marvel Studios would do, because they have
third time's a charm.
Yeah, they've done so poorly in the past. I'm like, okay, so, if anybody's gonna do this right, MCU's got to do it right.
Oh yeah. But that's.
I mean,
I wonder if they're gonna.
Guardians of the Galaxy. They figured that out.
If they do Fantastic Four, I wonder if they're gonna have like a little hint of like, hey, 2 of the actors who played the same character, or I don't know. I'm just gonna go with that. Never mind.
Yeah.
That failed.
No, I know what you mean. I don't know if they'd go that fourth wall breaky. That's more of a Deadpool thing, but.
Well, I mean, not like actual fourth wall, but maybe like a little subtle hint, like an Easter egg.
Oh, possibly. If they think of it and they're that clever, but
well, I'm sure they think of it as just how do they make it work so that it still makes sense, and having Deadpool involved would probably help actually.
Yeah, probably.
If anything, it'll be something Deadpool mentions in one of his movie appearances, more than likely. So, yeah. I mean, if Deadpool could, when he's being dragged off by Colossus, saying we're going to go see the professor, and he can go, Stewart or McAvoy, then
yep.
he can easily mention the fact that Johnny Storm and Captain America look an awful lot alike.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm.
No, no, I totally think that once the timing is right for producing those, that I think Disney will definitely get the Fantastic Four correct. So they've done so good so far. I don't. I mean,
they can make. They made a talking raccoon and a tree work, and Ant-Man work.
Yes.
And a lot of other things work pretty well, so
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so yay, and now and Anastasia is now a Disney princess for real this time.
Yes.
That's one of the questions. Like, hey, people can actually be correct when they call Anastasia a Disney princess. Like,
she married into it.
That's yep.
She may not be a Disney created princess, but we can just say she married into it. So.
That still counts.
Hey, princess titles can be inherited.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? And that's really it for news. So I mean, we're coming up on the end of the month, so a few days left to vote for book club.
Yes. No Ties so far. Scratchman by Tom Baker is in the lead.
Big surprise.
So if you want something else, or you just want to pile on and cast your vote for that one too, by all means go to the Goodreads book club, the Traveling Vortex Doctor Who book club, and if you haven't joined, by all means join in. We're nice. We chat about books and read lots of Doctor Who books, and even if you're behind, like some of us are,
feel free to put your comments in. I don't close them.
Yep. So take a look, see what we've read, and see if it's anything maybe you've already read, or that you're like, oh, hey, that one sounds interesting. I hadn't heard of that one before, and we don't bite.
Nope. Take a look. It's in the book. Doctor Who.
We promote literacy around here.
Yes, we do. Nice little nod there, Rachel.
But you don't have to take our word for it. Oh, wait, I'm pretty sure that's
copyrighted.
Copywritten. Don't hurt me, Lamar. Don't yell at me like you did my friend.
Anyway.
My. Any hoozles. Let's move on to this one. Well, one other piece of housekeeping. Although I'm not quite sure when this episode is going to drop, but I was, as we're recording this, I did go and I will be on episode 3 of the Social Sci-Fi podcast. Official episode 3. Obviously, I was not on their Captain Marvel bonus episode. I was otherwise occupied. But back to the official Doctor Who season 11 discussions. We recorded our discussion about Rosa yesterday, and it's going to be a long one, even once Tony cuts out the bits where the dogs bark out the window.
We wouldn't know anything about that, would we?
Yeah, no, never.
Never.
Never. So even once Tony cuts out the random animal-related noises, the episode's still going to be a lot longer than the previous episodes had. But considering the episode of Doctor Who Rosa, we had a lot to talk about. Mm-hmm. Which whether that was Chris Chibnall's intention or not, it's definitely caused a discussion. So, and we had quite an interesting discussion, and really from what I remember of our talk, I'd say like maybe 25% of the discussion is actually about the episode specifically, and I think most of it is about real world experiences and lessons, I think, that could be taken from the subject matter. So it should be a good one. So, but I'm not sure when that's going to be released, but I'll make sure to share it once it does go live. So, and I have not yet decided if I'm going to be on the next one.
Can't say that I don't blame you.
If I'm available or not. If they're even going to do that one, actually, because apparently no one necessarily, it's not that nobody wants to talk about Doctor Who, it's just no one wants to watch that episode again.
A little too buggy.
Yes. So we'll see what Liz decides to do with arachnids in the UK.
Oh boy.
So, anyway, so there's that. So, all right, and we don't have any feedback this week, so that's fine. But you can send us feedback if you want to.
Yes, send us feedback. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com, and you can talk about anything we've ever talked about before, or stuff on this episode, or stuff in upcoming episodes. Just, keep it short, keep it sweet, and family friendly.
Yes. Yep. So, all right. So, speaking of this week's topic, we are going to jump into what I've been binging. It was suggested after we recorded last week, so it's been a week. I am a season and 4 episodes binged in the last week. So
let's see.
Thank you, Hulu Black Friday sale. 99 cents a month.
Nice.
Totally down.
So, yeah. Yep. And it is in the middle of its second season, but we hadn't talked about it on the podcast.
Well, but it's in the middle of a mid-season break, so this actually works out well because it's not currently airing. It doesn't come back till sometime next month.
Yeah, and I think that's basketball, so it might to say. But if you
March Madness,
yes. But so we're talking about the Orville, which is the originally marketed as a parody of Star Trek, like Galaxy Quest in TV form. Mm-hmm. But I kind of tend to think that they called it a parody just because Seth MacFarlane wanted to do this, and he didn't want Paramount or someone to come down hard on him.
Yes, because parody is one of those things where it does not fall in copyright. You can parody anything all you want and not have to worry about copyright.
Yeah, and there is some parody, but if you're going into this thinking you're getting Star Trek with fart jokes, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah,
but if you're going into it... Yeah. If you're going into it thinking that you're going to enjoy some good sci-fi with a little nod to Star Trek, but with a little bit of an irreverent tone to it, but has some really good ideas, then you're going to enjoy this.
It's some great stories.
It's like Star Trek, but it's like if Star Trek had more of a sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean, some people have kind of compared it favorably to The Office, where it's that, everyday work a day sort of a thing. So it's like so it's like, Star Trek, they dealt with, we're going to alien planets, and it's like really serious space travel, space exploration stuff. And then Orville is kind of like, yeah, we're still doing that. And there are some, and we'll get to it. There's some episodes, especially in season 2, where they go for the hard sci-fi ideas really well. But then they're also like, what are these characters' home life like? Like, we have a couple of families, with parents and kids, that are the officers on the parents. They're the officers on the ship. Or it talks about, we get into the captain and his first officer's past, and other relationships and things. And,
which I had no idea. Like, as long as this has been on, because obviously it's in the second season at this point, and I know people will watch it, and I've heard things about it. Like, I knew the general premise, and I knew about the one episode with the baby, about a girl. I knew that about that specific episode. But other than that, I really did not know the premise. I did not know the characters. I mean, I knew Seth MacFarlane was in it. I knew he played the captain on this ship. And beyond that, I really did not know anything going into this. So when I watched the very first episode and we get, him finding out his wife is cheating on him, and then 1 year later, he gets command of this, exploratory vessel, the Orville, and its first officer ends up being his ex-wife.
And it turns out that she's the one who petitioned for him to get the command, because he's kind of had a really crappy year and hasn't really been. So I mean, there's a lot of that human element of like, normal people deal with this stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, what I noticed really early on is, I mean, it's Star Trek. It's got a lot of the elements that you expect from Star Trek and Star Trek, type series, like Battlestar Galactica and stuff. There's an ongoing conflict with this other species that's a thing that goes through the seasons. But it's, it's funny, and some of the humor is not my type of humor, but there are a lot of the jokes that I genuinely laughed at, which was a concern because I know Seth MacFarlane's humor.
Yeah.
And based on this other stuff he does, it's like, I don't know if this is, the funny stuff I'm going to find funny, but there were actually moments, there were jokes that I genuinely laughed out loud at, but then it also has surprisingly a lot of heart. It's not just sci-fi with dirty jokes, that they actually give these characters lots of dimension and personality, and we learn about their backgrounds and their where they came from, and if they've got parents and maybe issues they have with their parents, and the things that they go through on the ship, both professionally and personally. There's dating, there's marriages, there's people having babies, all sorts of different subject matter is touched upon. It's actually way more, it has way more depth than I really thought it was going to. And I almost want to kick myself kind of for like, stupid, why, I had this assumption of what a Seth MacFarlane type of production would be like. And if I had it, if you guys hadn't suggested it, I'd be like, no, it's really good, you should watch it. I probably never would have, and I would have been missing out on something that's actually really good.
Yeah. And like, and you said it, like, it has a lot of depth. And honestly, when it was first coming out, I was like, Seth MacFarlane has depth? Are you kidding me?
I was a little leery at first too, but then I watched the first episode. I'm like, okay, watch the second, and then I got hooked. It was just like, okay,
yes,
he can do more than the stuff that he's known for on his animated series.
Yeah, and honestly, and I just keep thinking about this, and people have mentioned this, where Fox kind of has not a very good reputation around sci-fi shows. And maybe if this hadn't been a Seth MacFarlane thing where he's done a lot of other things, it might not be doing as well as it is doing, or it might not have even gotten a second season. So you know what, gonna just say I'm grateful that Seth MacFarlane has that clout, and he actually,
Yes,
loves Star Trek as much as he does.
His clout and because he's been in the industry for so long, because it's not like he just came out of nowhere with the animated series. I don't believe he's actually been in the business for quite a while in the background, I think, as a comedy writer. I think. I don't know his entire background, but I think it's kind of similar to Conan O'Brien, where it's like he's actually been around for a while in the background and finally got a chance to be a front man for something, and people are like, oh, here's this funny person. Like, I've been here for like 20 years.
Where have you guys been?
Yeah. Dang it, I lost what was I saying? Where was I going with this?
You're glad that you
yes, his cloud. But the fact that he has been around and has established himself in Hollywood, in the industry, probably definitely helped. Because if you just watch the first season, because it is a shorter season, they got, when they got the order for the season, and they only got an order for 13 episodes.
Right.
But you could kind of see that they tried to put, as much into it as possible to keep to help draw in the viewers because once you get people in with because there's been a lot of big name celebrities that have made appearances on the show. You get someone like Charlize Theron who makes an appearance in an entire episode.
Yeah.
And it draws people in. But then once you got them in and then they realize, oh, this is actually written really well and these characters are really developed really well and it's competent, that's how you keep the people.
Yeah. And even the characters.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, even some of the characters who at the beginning, like, I went back and watched the first episode of season 1, and like, Gordon, so Gordon, he's the helmsman, and he gets that job because he's Ed's like best friend, and the Orville needs a pilot, and he's kind of a loser. He's kind of a joke, but he's a really talented pilot, and so he's going to be the comic relief. And this episode that just aired, the one Lasting Impressions, is a really good, like, it shows Gordon, like, he's not just the clown. He is like okay, so the most recent episode is the crew gets like a time capsule from 2015, so it shows all the things that we have modern day, and in one of the things they find is a cell phone, like an iPhone that has this lady's. She's like, oh, we're burying this time capsule, maybe people in the future will find it, blah, blah, blah. But I just got a new phone, so I'm going to put my old one in. So it has like all her pictures, all her music, all her videos, her texts. And Gordon creates a program because he wants to get to know this woman. So he creates a program on the
their version of the holodeck.
Yeah, their version of the holodeck. I keep calling it holodeck, but that's not what they call it. And
simulator.
Simulator. Thank you. Yeah. And he gets to know her, and just from her phone, and he like starts dating her and everything. But then, and then some things happen, and he tries to change it, and it's like, but then she isn't who she was. But that's because he rewrote her program, and he's like, he realizes that's not right, and it's just a really good Gordon episode where you thought, where if you jumped ahead from episode 1 to episode. This last episode, you'd be like, well, what the heck happened? I thought he was just kind of a dumb idiot. And same thing with Lieutenant Lamar. He gets one of those episodes in season 1 where, again, he's kind of an idiot, but he actually...
find out he's not actually an idiot.
Found out he's actually not.
He's actually really smart.
Sorry, I was... choking.
Don't die.
Don't die, please don't.
So yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like I said, I'm really impressed with the show.
And if you watch closely enough, there are some former Star Trek alums that do make guest appearances from Deep Space Nine Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Penny Johnson Gerald, she was in DS9, and she's the Doctor in Orville, and Jonathan Frakes directs a few episodes.
Yep.
Robert Picardo.
Yes.
One of my favorite Star Trek doctors.
Yep. And Tim Ross was the guy that was looking over and telling them about the technology and really misinterpreting what WTF meant, but it's a chuckle.
That was funny.
That was really funny.
I mean, there's still jokes, and the humor is just really heartfelt, and it works really well.
And the humor's gotten better. I mean, every now and again they'll do a couple raunchy, but it's not as often as you think it's going to be.
And some of it, oddly enough, serves the story.
Yes.
Like the one Cupid's Dagger, which I will admit wasn't my absolute favorite episode of season 1, but it kind of put Ed and Kelly's relationship kind of in a new light when they find out that the guy that Kelly was cheating on Ed with was kind of influencing her biologically, and it really wasn't entirely her fault. I mean, it's kind of an awkward idea when you're sitting there watching it, and it does make you uncomfortable, but at the same time you're kind of like, oh boy.
And played none other by Rob Lowe, which makes it even better.
Yeah, I mean, it's played for jokes, but it's also played for we didn't get the whole story, and the whole story is a little not good.
Yeah,
when the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah, it kind of takes something that Star Trek has always done since the very beginning, where it does touch on subject matter that is very relevant to the people, to real life, to real society. It just has that science fiction kind of metaphorical coding on it, so that it makes it a little harder to swallow, I think, for some people, which, it kind of is I don't want to say contradictory, but different than our discussion when you listen to the Social Sci-Fi with us, our discussion about Rosa, where it's not a metaphor, it's a actual, obviously the Doctor Who, it's not completely true because time travel and all that. But it's an actual story. It's a real accurate, it can be historical in the Doctor Who universe, but it is relevant to, it's a commentary on what's happening in the real world. And Star Trek has always done the same thing, but it's always been a bit more not right on the nose, where, one of the episodes you deal with issues like racism and disabilities and gender identity and that sort of class and that sort of thing.
Well, and then the social media and the majority rule episode.
That was the next one I was going to bring up, which is something that it's easy to go for the low hanging fruit of what's political social commentary, because just turn on the news or open a newspaper, but something like pure democracy, or where your entire life can be ruined because of a social media mob misinterpreting something they saw, a picture or a video that was posted
out of
context, and like people, they're that your entire life, the beginning of that episode, and I went back and watched this one too, and it just kind of horrified me when the first time I saw it. You see the lady just, I'm late for work, and she just hits the down vote, and didn't even think anything of it. But at the same time, this poor man, he's like begging for his life because of a video that got posted, because he didn't even realize that there was a pregnant woman sitting behind him or standing behind him on a bus, and he didn't offer the seat. I mean, think about social media. Think about the way people kind of, it's just sort of, social media is just kind of a game to people. Like, oh, haha, let's laugh at people and make fun of them and embarrass them, and and oh, and this person said something incredibly rude on Twitter. Let's, call up her employer and she needs to, be fired because she said she made a terrible joke on Twitter that, offended me or offended people that I don't know, but I'm going to say that I'm offended for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's that mob mentality. And I don't think anybody has, I mean, it's kind of an easy, now that I think about it, it's like, well, why don't people go after this kind of topic? And I don't think anybody really has.
No.
Not in, this Facebook, Twitter day and age where, people can pile on without any consequences, but the consequences for the person who's the target, that's huge. I mean, that's what everybody deals with. I mean, it doesn't matter, who you are, your race, your gender, your ethnicity, your class, your this, your that. Everybody is a target for social media mobs if they put a toe out of line. And I just that is amazing. That one is actually my very favorite episode of the entire show so far. And I just think it's incredible. And merely because it applies to everybody. Yes. It doesn't matter who you are. This could happen to you. And you also, and you participate in it. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I see things on Facebook and I'm like, haha, look at that idiot or something like that. And I shouldn't because they're people too. And I might not be getting the whole story, but that's what, but when everybody gets a vote, but you're not informed or you don't give people the opportunity to explain. I mean, you look at poor Lieutenant Lamar, he's not from around there and he doesn't know who that statue is, but yet the people on the planet are like, well, we're going to basically lobotomize you because you did something stupid in that one moment of ignorance. And you have to basically go on TV and beg for your life and people can either believe you or not.
Mm-hmm. And heaven knows we've seen that happen in real life.
Oh yeah. And it's
a lot of times it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean it happens to famous people, it happens to people who are relatively obscure, it happens to just because they had the bad luck for some vindictive person who was bored. It's like, oh, look at this tweet, we're gonna make her life or his life miserable. Because of something dumb, some mistaken thing. Anyway, I have opinions about that one, and it just kind of.
Well, it just goes to show just how how well it's written, and obviously, I don't know who all is doing the writing on the show. I know Seth MacFarlane has producer credit along with creator credit, but
he's written a lot of episodes. David Goodman, who he wrote for Once Upon a Time as well, but he's writing. But yeah, Seth MacFarlane wrote Majority Rule. I'm trying to see if there's any others. Yeah, there's a writer's room that's working on this.
Yeah, but how much they're paying attention to what's happening in the real world, and fitting it into this universe, this science fiction universe.
Yeah. But yeah, I could gush about Majority Rule all day long. But I mean, that as horrifying as it is, it's kind of like, yeah, you do that, don't you? And and but I was trying to pick out some other ones that are a lot of fun. The first one of season. Oh, go ahead, Holly.
Yeah, were you going to say the first episode of season 2?
Yes.
Me too. And Isaac just was like, "Okay, you're doing my doctor's kid wrong. We're gonna do a little payback here."
I so adored that bit. I mean,
I know.
Some of the relationship stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is just part of the deal. But yeah, when you've got Dr. Finn, her son running with the wrong crowd, and this one kid's just kind of being he's getting everyone into trouble, but then he tells his parents like, oh no, I'm the good one. It's that kid that's being.
It's the doctor's son that's causing me to do this.
Yeah. It's Marcus, and then Isaac comes on. And it's like, and Yeah, and his parents are like, oh, he gets straight A's, he does this, and blah blah blah, and then he's like, well, no, actually, he's hacking into the teacher's record book from your computer in your quarters.
Yep.
So
and that shut Mom right down.
Oh, I know. Like everything else in that episode, when those parents showed up and tried to berate Dr. Finn about her son, and I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Dr. Finn was ready for blood.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Would you like me to be there to help? I was like, ooh, this is going to be fun.
You're wonderful.
Yes.
Yes. Although I also, I mean, it's hilarious because it's basically a throwaway line in the first episode when you meet Bortus and you hear about the Mocklins. And he makes the joke about we only urinate once a year.
Once a year, yeah.
And then this episode is about him going to urinate.
Yep.
He has to go back home to do his yearly urination. And it's a big religious, social religious sort of ceremony. And it's kind of a good sci-fi idea where that is, treated as this big, it's a product of their biology, but it's also they treat it as like a cleansing or it's basically like their birthday, even though later he does have a birthday, but yeah, this is like his special day, and he wants all his friends to be there, and they have a party, and people get dates for it, and
and then we find out that what's her name's dating the teacher, and
yes, Kelly
does the drive-by.
It was funny.
That was just like, oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there going like, don't do it, don't do it, man, don't do it, and he did it.
Yep.
I don't really know if I ship Ed and Kelly.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I mean, I like them as friends, and I think if they did start dating, that would kind of ruin their captain first officer dynamic. But
they've been down the road once.
Yeah, and it's like they already went there, and it kind of wasn't really their fault, or Kelly's fault, really.
Yeah.
And I think
I had a feeling like even if she didn't cheat, that it was kind of sounded like it was going to end. Like he was spending a lot of time at work and not really.
That is true. That is true. They were kind of on the rocks, and maybe they are better apart. They're the way they are now.
Yeah. As many people are as on that ship, because we're always seeing people like walking down the halls, and a lot of them we never learn their names, and apparently Ed doesn't learn their names either. Like, hey, there he is.
But we do know Yaphet's name. I know. Yes. We know Blob of Snot's name.
Yeah. If you thought Gordon was bad, as far as personality goes, I would take Gordon over Yaphet any day. I think.
Yeah. Although, and Rachel, I don't think you've gotten to this one yet. You haven't gotten to the big two-parter.
No.
But Yaphet actually does have a really big heroic moment.
Yes, he does.
Where in the episode after the two-parter, he actually gets a medal, and I almost started bawling because I'm like, medal, because Yaphet's awesome.
Yaphet,
well, I mean, as far as working,
he's got a heart of gold.
Yeah,
somewhere.
I would say as far as working, it's fine.
Well,
I don't think I'd want to be trapped in an elevator with Yaphet. I don't think.
No, I can understand that for sure, but yeah, I mean, going back to these characters have depth. Even the CGI slime alien that works in engineering and it's voiced by Norm Macdonald. Yeah. He's got some hidden depths too.
And then the bartender by Jason Alexander is always a hoot.
Oh yes.
Oh,
there was one scene that I loved in I can't remember what episode it is. It's in the second season with Isaac and the doctor, and he comes onto the deck, and Scene in the Ring comes on, and
a happy refrain.
Yes,
the one where they kind of work out their relationship, and
then it starts raining in the bridge, and it's just like.
And it's very romantic and cute, and all the crew's like, what?
Yes.
Great. There's a lot of Kitty electrical equipment.
Yeah, I kind of wondered about that.
That's
but
what I was thinking. I was like, wait a second.
I was like, the ship is failing. Just don't interrupt.
Yep. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but then my brain's just like, that's electronic. Why isn't anything shorting out right now?
Yeah, because like everybody's
Because science.
Or shipping hot. Like
it's like your shipping heart's like saying, shut up.
Shut up. Yep.
I would hope by the 25th century that they would figure out waterproofing just a little more.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that meme of Riker sitting on the console, and people are all like, if by the 24th century we haven't figured out how to
not actually butt dial.
They can figure out the difference between a real command and a butt dial, then we have no business being in space.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, let's I don't think we really touched upon it, but let's talk about the because this is a television series, so the production value.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
pretty
some
good
of the
most of the time. The makeup for the different species is really good. Most of the CGI is pretty good.
It gets better as you go into season 2.
Yeah, it has its moments though where I'm like, that's not going to hold up the test of time. I don't think so. Yeah. Most, like 99% of it is really good. There's something about the shuttles that they haven't quite seemed to get.
Yeah.
They look very CGI. Like you can't do, like a model. That's what other Star Trek series did.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Yeah, the shuttles. I will grant you that they do look a little sketch. Although they do get better as season 2 goes on, and the 2-parter. There's like, I will say there's a ginormous space battle which you watch that and you're like, that's where all your budget went, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was really impressed by that space battle. I was like,
yeah,
are we watching a TV show or a movie?
I was like, oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah,
and I don't want to fault them too much, when the CGI isn't quite right, because it is a television series and it's not Game of Thrones budget,
right? So. And it's just like, okay, what else are you guys kind of saving your pennies for that we haven't seen yet?
Yeah, and then you see it in the 2-parter, and like, oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Rachel, when you get to the 2-parter, let us know.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I'm close.
You are close. You are close. Trying to think what else. Oh,
I know you said you won't worry about spoilers, but we're trying not to spoil on that one because that's a pretty. I wouldn't want to know before I see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did know the 2-parter before because we got behind, and my brother-in-law was watching it. He's like, "No, you need to watch it." And there's this 2-parter coming up, and I had to wait a week. And we're like, "Yeah, we didn't." So yeah, binge that one. Go from episode 8 straight into episode 9 because.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll know it. It's you'll know it when it gets there. Let's see. What else is there? Oh, Alara's goodbye episode, which I was really sad to see her go, but as I understand it, the actress, it was her decision. So she.
I was wondering about that. Of like, why did she leave 3 episodes into the second season?
Yeah.
It's like, this is random time to leave.
Well, the second episode, Primal Urges, was actually filmed for season 1. That was the one where Bortus, where he almost crashes the ship because he downloaded porn.
Yeah.
Which that one was a really well done episode, and
it is kind of ridiculous as it seems. It actually is a legitimate thing. Like there are people that are addicted to pornography.
Yeah, and and there's the thing. It's like, wow, again, Seth MacFarlane, you're the one who does a show with this in it. I mean, he didn't write the episode, but geez, he's a freaking producer and creator of the show.
Yeah.
So Alara, the episode's called Home, and because she's from a high gravity world and she hasn't been back for a while, so her muscles are starting to atrophy and she's not as strong as she used to be, so she's got to go home and kind of heal up and get better. and you find out about her family, about the society she comes from, the Zelayans, and how they're very like they've looked down on her because she joined the military, and they all like, oh, because you're not as academic or smart as us.
Yeah, they value smarts more than muscle.
Yeah, and then she then she ends up like, because she's in a wheelchair because she can't stand up very well on her home planet's gravity. I mean, it's so, the gravity is so strong, like it, if Ed or Gordon step out of the shuttle without the special equipment, they'll get crushed. Basically. And so she's and then her family gets they get attacked by somebody who was upset at a decision her dad made at the university, and they're it gets really brutal what they do to them, what they do to the family. And I'm like, wow, that goes dark. And then Alara is able to save her family, by using the things she's learned by being on the Orville. And she, gets closer to her sister, which I love that, because so many times you have these scenarios where there's the two sisters, they don't get along, and one's awful, and the other's the poor picked on, and the awful sister never gets better. And then you find out, again, depth. I mean, let's just call this the show about depth, I guess.
Yes.
And then, Alara decides that she's going to stay home, get better, and get to know her family better. And because this experience kind of helped her realize that she's
missing out
and needs to be around her folks some more. So that's, I really like that one. And I was sad to see her go, because I really liked her, but I can understand that, the actress wanted to go on and do other things. Although I feel kind of sad too, because I'm like, you missed the best parts.
Yeah.
And they do get a new one, a new security officer, and she's
There's
a little
also
more
Solarin.
Yeah, but she's a little more like, yeah, I'm the black. We're my family's all in the military. We're the black sheep of our society, and I'm like, okay, we'll go with that. And and she's growing on me. I haven't quite got to where I like her quite as much as Alara, but I'm like, I've stopped calling her not Alara. It's Tala.
I don't think I've learned everybody's names.
Yeah. Oh, that was a joke clear back in episode 1 when they're rescuing the scientist, and Kelly goes, "Stay behind Alara," and he's like, "Which one's Alara?" "I am." "Oh, good." Yep. Oh, I'm still learning names.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was a nice nod to the audience. Like, yes, we're still learning your names.
Yeah. It's like there's Ed, there's Kelly. I just want to call Bobby.
Yes, I know.
Gordon, Lamar. Isaac, the doctor. Yep, because I can never remember her name.
I keep wanting to call her either Cassidy Yates or Sherry Palmer.
Okay,
because she was.
I want to call her Captain Gates from Castle.
That too. I'm like, she's been in a lot of things, but
yep.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw her, it was in 24, and she was she never actually became First Lady because they got divorced before President Palmer became president. But yeah, she was a terrible, awful person. And it's like, yeah, when she finally died, I didn't care. I was like, good riddance, bad relish. But then I found out that the actress can actually play nice characters too. Yes. So I was like, yay, okay, I don't see you as this terrible, heinous, awful thing all the time.
Good for you.
Yes.
Like, you have range.
Yes. And quite the range. I'm like, good grief. She actually gets a love story, and it's like, oh, precious.
Well, and I love how she's just like, yeah, Isaac and I have something to tell you. What? We're seeing each other. Oh, yeah, we knew. How'd you know? It's a small ship. People talk.
It's a wonder anybody can have a relationship on that ship, because it seems like, there's a lot of people we don't know yet. The ship doesn't seem like it's that big. So, the folks that do try to date, and if it doesn't work out. It's like that could be really awkward.
Yeah. You don't really get a feel for how big the crew is until they're like gathered together. Like there's the episode where they have the symphony coming to the ship, and you see everyone in the audience, and that's actually the symphony is actually the show's orchestra that scores the.
Cool.
So they because I'm like sitting there watching, I'm like, they're focusing a lot on the symphony. I'm like, I wonder if this is kind of a special one or a big deal. And we looked it up. It's like, oh, this is actually the orchestra that scores the show. So they wanted them to be on screen for a set amount of time. And so it's like this big to do. Like they have symphony ships that go from ship to ship just to, kind of give the crew some culture or a night out or something, or they're on tour basically. And so they make that a big deal, and like cool. Everyone's so it's a good one.
I like the music.
Yeah,
I do really like the music. The theme song, from the opening credits, though, it cracks me up though because it reminds me so much of the music from. I'll put a link to it in the show notes so people can hear it. But it reminds me so much of the music from what was the name of the attraction? I can't remember exactly what the name of the attraction was, but it's the Timekeeper. It was an attraction at Disney World, where there's a time travel, where you could travel in time and you go back and go to. I can't remember the whole plot, but the music reminds me very much of that. If you listen to it, you're like, yeah, I can kind of see that. So it's kind of in that same futuristic, sci-fi orchestration type feel to it. It's like, oh, we have something set in the future with technology that doesn't really exist. It's going to sound like this. Which I couldn't write music if my life depended upon it. So
yeah,
I'll leave that to the professionals. But it's kind of funny because I was like, first couple episodes, I'm like, what does this remind me of? Like, oh yeah, Disney, Disney. No. It's good. I don't want to say it's better than it should be, than it has any right to be, but in this day and age, especially something on Fox,
right,
that's not an animated series or a reality show, that's saying quite a lot, actually. I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fox doesn't necessarily have the best track record.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was.
You, Firefly.
Yeah, and people are kind of like, oh, we've got 2 episodes of the Orville, we couldn't get more of Firefly or anything like that, and I'm just like, well, same time, it's kind of a different time period when it was on, and it kind of, stuff like that's kind of come into more into vogue a little bit. But yeah, you're right. And there've been some others in recent years. Like, it wasn't called Being Human. It was with Carl Urban. Almost Human. Yeah, yes. That one only got 1 season. And that was pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked that one.
Yeah. And that was so...
ABC was a couple of shows. Looking at you forever.
Yeah. TV.
We're not still bitter about Forever at all.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Some of the stuff, it's like, oh, come on. I mean, this day and age, we can get stuff streaming. Let's, But anyway, that's another topic for another day.
Yes. Shows that you're still bitter that got canceled.
I know. Maybe someday they'll reboot it and it'll get 10 seasons and give Supernatural a run for its money. But yeah, so if anyone out there hasn't watched the Orville and is kind of been thinking about it or been hearing about it and just kind of on the fence, I kind of kind of want to push. Give it a try. I mean, it's on Hulu. It's on The Fox website. I think you can get it on Amazon Prime. I mean, it's not, well, okay. It's on Amazon. It's not on Prime, but
Right. You can purchase it if you want to do your streaming that way. Yes.
yeah. It's just a really good show, and something, because Seth MacFarlane gave an interview when the show was first premiering, and 'cause they do the rounds to promote the stuff and everything, and it was kind of getting compared to Star Trek Discovery because it came out about the same time, and some people who didn't like Discovery were like, oh, the Orville's awesome, and there was a quote from Seth MacFarlane when he said, like, he wanted something that was like hopeful and positive, when there's so much sci-fi out there that is gritty and dystopian and really dark and depressing, which I guess that has its place, but at the same time I watch the Orville and I'm like, I feel like this is a breath of fresh air, because there's just been so much, and it does kind of have its moments where it's like, oh, how are they going to get out of this, or something seems really going really well, like the episode All the World's a Birthday Cake. Birthday Cake.
First Contact.
First Contact, they go in and they're all excited, like, oh, we get to meet a new planet, a new society, a new everything, and everything's going well and awesome, and then Kelly says, it's my birthday next week, and Bortus is, and they all freak out because this planet
is not good.
Yeah, because this planet's ruled by astrology. Like, if you are born in this sign, then you are like going to be a criminal, violent, and we have to lock you up. And so Bortus and Kelly end up getting locked up, and they have to. And like I was sitting there watching that show, and there's some kind of scary moments in that one too. But in the end, not to spoil it or anything, but generally there are a lot of good, happy endings. There's really only a few I can think of that, you kind of, I mean, they seem implausible, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I can understand why that happened.
Yeah.
And then you have the life-changing two-parter, which, again, Rachel hasn't watched yet.
I'll get there.
She'll get
At the
there.
rate I'm going, I'll have it done by next week. So
Yeah. You can give a little mini review.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just, it's, and I guess I hadn't realized just how dark and depressing TV had gotten. I mean, not all of it, but just watching this, I'm like, there's nothing else like this on TV right now. And I kind of like it. It's filling a niche that needs to be filled.
yeah. Well, and I think the fact that Seth MacFarlane wanted this to be a bit brighter, a bit happier, I think actually puts it closer to what Gene Roddenberry wanted. His original intention for Star Trek.
Yeah.
Is he wanted something that was hopeful.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously you still want it thrilling, otherwise people aren't going to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want, everything is sunshine and daisies. Yeah. I mean, because there's sometimes they just like the society of people who they lock up Kelly and Bortus because when their birthday is, I don't think they really resolved anything with that. With those people, they kind of had to trick them.
Yeah.
Because you can't. It was just kind of like you can't change. A whole society.
You're not going to be able to reason with them. So.
Yeah, you can't reason with. Although I could think of something easy for them to figure out. It's like, well, on my planet where I was born, I don't have these stars.
Yeah.
So that's not my star sign. So sorry.
Yeah.
But I guess that would have cleaned things up a little too much. But yeah, like you find out there are some societies that it's like, well, we just kind of have to live and let live. And then we're kind of seeing that with the Mocklans a little bit, because there's some of the stuff they do that is absolutely terrifying, even though sometimes it's played for laughs. Like, Clyden tries to divorce Bortus by stabbing him, and it's like, And Ed even says at one point, it's like, how much longer can we, are we going to be able to be in a union with the Mocklans with the way their society is? And I don't know, maybe they'll do something with that later, but just that one line that he had, I'm like, uh-oh.
Well, I read
Bortus and Clyden.
I read something, I guess, that there's going to be a follow-up episode too about a girl.
Oh, God.
Oh, yes.
So.
Well, several.
Yeah. but this
Primal
one's going to
Urges
be
was kind of
good.
yeah. Primal Urges kind of touched on that a little bit, but yeah, there is another one that. Oh dear, the Mocklins.
Yeah. And the Orville might want to upgrade their scanners for shape-shifting krill.
Yeah.
Oh jeez, yes. Oh my gosh. That one made me sad because I was like,
Yes.
oh, here's this nice lady, and Ed's doing well, and
And
he's
he
Yeah.
got played. He doesn't deserve to
It
get
wasn't,
played.
but I mean, she wasn't really shape shifting. She said it was some sort of like skin graft or something like that.
Yeah,
She
it's
said
like
it was
some-
actually quite painful
yeah, like
Yeah.
to
surgery.
go through. Yeah. So.
I don't know. I just there's a lot of conflict and meaty storytelling that they can do, but yeah, I mean it's still hopeful, but there's still there's antagonists and villains and all that other stuff aplenty, and mostly it's just culture clash.
Yep.
And somehow all these people on this same starship, they make it work for the most part. No, yeah, it's a fun show. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna keep watching it. Now, I mean, now if they ever get like too preachy or too overbearing in some of their messages, I might we'll have
tropey.
Too tropey, yeah. If they ever go cross into that, I'm gonna have to revisit it. But so far they haven't. And they're
there's been a few times where I'm like, I can see where this is going because this is catering to a trope that we've seen. We've seen this kind of plot happen in Star Trek and other type shows 5 bazillion times before. But then they do find a way to make it seem like they're not beating a dead horse.
Yeah. or they do it like this most recent episode with Gordon. Like I thought it was going to go one way and it went completely in the other direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, kudos for that, because that meant Gordon actually got some character growth. He actually came to that conclusion on his own rather than having it be forced on him.
Yep.
And I was like, that's a good way to do it. And I really liked it.
Yeah. I mean, with shows like this, when you're set in outer space, essentially exploring new worlds, seeking out new life and new civilizations. We've all heard this, this line before, that there's just going to be some things that are going to be repeated from one series to another.
Yeah,
but
it's just it's a different take on it.
Yeah,
they've at least tried to put their own spin on things instead of completely rehashing a plot that we've seen before. So, and at least we haven't had our captain pulled in front of the high command for X number of infractions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been reprimanded a few times, but
right,
but
not to Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
Levels.
So we'll see if they can keep the train going. Although I don't think it's been renewed for a 3rd season yet. So
I haven't heard, but they kind of leave these pretty late sometimes, and I mean, I think they've set up already. Yeah, it's still early. I mean, they're on kind of a 3-week break till the next one. So I'm really hoping. I don't see that they would cancel it. I'm like, where they've set so many things up. I'm like, please don't cancel it. Please don't cancel it.
It's like one more season. It's like you're on the upswing. We could do one more season. We'll see how we're doing next season.
Yeah. It's like, I'm enjoying this. I need something to enjoy.
There's not a lot of stuff to watch at the moment, so.
That is true. That is true. Anyway.
Still waiting for the shows to come back.
Always, yes. So, everyone, go watch Orville. And go love it. Uh-oh. Crap. I'm just scrolling through Facebook and I found postponements for fans. Sorry.
Late breaking news.
Late breaking news. Pearl Mackie and David Bradley have had to cancel.
Oh
no. Man.
Pearl had to cancel for work and David Bradley is having health issues.
Ooh.
They're going. They're
Wishes
going
him
to.
well.
They do. Yes, they do. It does say we hope to have them soon at a future convention.
That's
So
good.
anyway, sorry, I didn't.
Hey,
Oh well, I got all excited for not for nothing. But anyway, back to Orville. Go watch Orville, people.
Yeah.
It's if you need that happy sci-fi itch scratched, it will definitely do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get worried. Like I said, Seth MacFarlane actually has depth to him. So if you're a little wary, because I know I was, because I know what Family Guy is like, and it's not my favorite show in the world. But you know what? He brings a very different tone to this one, and it's well worth your time.
Although it's really weird to hear his voice and actually see his face.
Yes, that too.
It's I'm still struggling to like look at him when he's on the screen and talking, just because I'm still kind of struggling to reconcile. I knew what he looked like. You know, he's done other things. I've seen him on TV as himself. You know, so I've seen him. I know what he looks like. I know what he sounds like. But it's still just on a 45 minutes at a time in these episodes to kind of reconcile that's the voice that I equate with a talking dog who drinks martinis to this guy.
Yep.
But that's not Seth MacFarlane's problem. That's my problem. So.
You know what? We it's like they talk about in the Orville. We all have our different things that we do, our traditions, are this or that, but somehow we all kind of manage to get along for the most part.
Yep.
So anyway, is there anything else anyone wanted to say?
I found a little fact that I think I remember reading, but forgotten to now. But in January, Adriana, I can never pronounce her name, Kelly, and Scott Grimes, who plays Gordon, are engaged.
Oh, well, congratulations to them. Yeah, I didn't notice. I hadn't heard that one.
Right.
Well,
Love
good
on the set.
for them.
They have they have characters have relationships and the actors have relationships.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seth
All the
MacFarlane's
best.
wife is the voice of the computer.
Oh, cool.
Huh.
Just
Isn't
like
that-
Gene
isn't that-
Roddenberry did for his
I was
wife.
gonna say, it's like, wasn't Gene Roddenberry's wife something like that? Okay.
Yeah, I
Played
believe
Loxana
so.
Troy. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. History repeats itself, and in a good way.
Yep.
Anyway. Well, if any of our listeners have seen The Orville and want to talk about your favorite episodes or what you like about the show or even what you dislike about the show, we'll talk about that as well. Because, like I said, I've got episodes I don't like quite as much as others. But you can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can visit our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. And there you'll find links to all of our social media stuff, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Just don't downvote us enough so we have to, go on an apology tour.
Yeah.
Because I don't have time in my schedule for that. You can leave us comments, reviews on like iTunes and where else are we? Stitcher, Google Play, and we'll appreciate that. And also for if you want to support the show, you can support us through Patreon. You can shop through our Amazon store or our Redbubble store, or drop us a tip on it's Ko-fi or Ko-fi?
I've been calling it Ko-fi.
Ko-fi. Yeah, there's a
I
link
think
to
it's
it.
like coffee.
Okay, that makes sense. There's a little mug there.
Yep.
But yeah, if you have a couple bucks you want to throw our way, we appreciate that, and definitely thank you for all your support and love and comments and feedback and everything. It's nice to know we have listeners and followers that are interested in what we're doing, and so yeah, check us out, and thank you again for coming on this ride with us, and hope you've all enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right. So with that, don't lose Brittany.
Oh, sorry. This is Brittany and Beth. I'm saying goodnight.
Brittany, where'd you go? Did you get sucked into a black hole?
that pretty black hole in the opening credits that the ship flies by. Anyway, which is odd, but anyway, this is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana, saying engage quantum drive.
Listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefivishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.